I grew up in London. My dad wasn't very present. My mum worked hard. It wasn't an easy childhood. When I was a young teen, I fell in with the wrong crowd at school, so I was sent to live with my dad abroad. I spent some time in the States and in Jamaica. I loved it there. Then I came back when I was 16. My mum had a boyfriend. I could see that he was bad news, but she loved him. I had to leave home, and I was on the streets for the first time. I met a girl, and we had 2 kids. They both were born very premature, and I found out that my girl was using. We were so very young. It was hard. Our mums were helping us, but the relationship went bad. I loved my kids, but didn't get to raise them the way I wanted. I met another girl, and she got pregnant too. We were together for a couple of years, and then we got married. The marriage lasted 3 months. Her dad wasn't into me at all. Didn't like that I was black. She moved back home. I tried patching things up, but when I went to her, I ended up losing my place like a mug. So I was back on the streets again. It was bitter cold that winter. I went down the station to keep myself warm, and I met some people who offered me crack cocaine. That was my first taste of the stuff, and I didn't really stop from there. It was almost like the focus to keep warm became the way to keep my mind comfortable. I started begging for money, and I was good at it. I was great with the gift of the gab. And I was good at looking the part of the intelligent, hard-done-by geezer. But to me, it was just about making money and the acquisition of my chemicals. Then I met Susie. One night, we were both out, and she was looking for a punter to score. I wasn't comfortable with that. I told her, and she replied that I liked using as much as she did, and that really hit me. I mean, it was like she shone a mirror back on me. I couldn't disagree with her. So I got my head right. I stayed at home for 2 weeks and kicked it right out my system. I went down the job centre asking for training. And they were doing this thing with a football club that gave you security training. I was determined. And at the end of the 6 weeks training, I was suited and booted, and I knew exactly what I wanted. So I started working for an events company. And things started going really good, and Susie got clean too. My mum had a property available, and we moved in it together. I was working day and night and weekends too. I took every job that came my way. I was a workaholic. All the energy that I put into my drugs, I transferred into working and making money, and finances were coming in nice and strong. Susie got pregnant, and we had our first child. And at 3 months old, she died. It was horrible. And Susie and I didn't take it very well. And family started arguing. And everyone was blaming everyone. And it hit us really hard. And everything went downhill from there. We went back on the chemicals because we couldn't handle it. Then Susie got pregnant again. And we got our second child. It was like we got saved. But I think with all the arguments with the family, the equilibrium that was there before wasn't the same afterwards. I got myself back into work, and I was contributing to the finances, but I was hardly home now. I was working all the time. Everything went into my bank account, and I left Susie to deal with the money. I didn't go hungry. I had new clothes, but I noticed that her and my mum were having disputes. It turned out Susie had not been paying the rent. I checked the account, realised it was empty, and that's how I found out she was still using. She got pissed off with me and moved in with her mum for a while. I was in and out of hostels for a bit when Susie contacted me to say she'd found somewhere to live in the southwest. So I joined her and found work straight away. I was doing really well again. My use by then had come way down. I mean, when you're working all the time, you don't have too much time. Plus I was having a good laugh with the guys at work, and that was my buzz. But Susie was heavily into heroin by then. She was blowing her cash and kept demanding more and more money. Then work dried up and I was let go of my weekend job. Then my day job was also cut and I was left with just my night shifts. We were fighting about money all the time. When I left home and was going from the streets to my night work, I tried to pop in the mornings for a quick shower and to see the kids, but it didn't work. My boss started noticing my work wasn't up to scratch anymore. And he was a good boss. He tried to understand, but he had to let me go in the end. I moved to Bristol. I got arrested for shoplifting and I asked the judge to give me a custodial sentence. I mean, I couldn't go back on the streets. When I came out of prison, they put me in this probation place. Susie decided to join me in Bristol and left our kids with her mum. And I told Susie she couldn't move in with me, so she made false accusations against me. That meant I got investigated and lost my place. I ended up back on the streets. Susie and I both got caught by the police for shoplifting and got sent to prison. We stayed in touch, writing to each other. When I came out of prison that time, I got back in the drug scene because, I had nothing to do. I was embarrassed to apply for jobs because I would have had to admit I had outstanding charges with the police. I got tied in with some dealers and ended up doing door security for them. Susie started hanging around that place to score her stuff. We got amicable again, but within weeks, she was found dead in her room at the hostel. She'd overdosed. I couldn't handle that. I sank deep in the chemicals to numb myself. I mean, eventually I got moved into shelter. I was in there for a long time. And even though I was friendly, I wasn't the best resident. My hygiene was dreadful. I got introduced to Michael at Housing First. Michael's a quiet guy, but he's patient, and he wouldn't accept failure. And eventually he got me in my flat. When I first got told about Housing First, I knew there was an end in sight. It gave me hope. I mean, when you have a home, it takes all the worries out of the way and you can move forward. That's all it is. I got housed 2 weeks after the UK went into lockdown. It was a crazy time, but it worked for me. I had no choice but to be at home. Everything fell into place at the right time. Michael helped me sort out my benefits too. Because of COVID, people weren't allowed in the flat to help me, so I had to get the carpets and the washing machine all up by myself. It was crazy, but we had a good laugh about it. I mean, I came from living in a place where I had to lock myself away to hide from other people. Now I don't have to deal with that anymore, so I don't think about the drugs so much. I mean, before, everything revolved around the chemicals. Now I can go and meet people and have nice chats with them. I don't have that stress anymore. I'm a happy man. And when I smile these days, it's not to get cash out of someone. I smile because I actually want to. I couldn't have done it without the help Michael gave me. This has turned my life around, and I want to do the same for other people. I'd really like to help others. That's my next step.